Good evening, ma'am, and everybody present here. I'm Kalpita, and I'll be your MC for today. Thank you for joining us. Kindly note that 10 minutes will be provided at the end of the session for your questions. If any, please use the chat box. Now, Sneha from the logistics team who will be presenting the welcome note. Sneha, over to you.
Once again, a very warm welcome to all on behalf of Sumana and St. Joseph's College. Without any further delay, let's welcome our guest for the day, Dr. Tanusree Chakraborty. Dr. Tanusree Chakraborty is an associate professor in organizational behavior and human resource area with PhD in applied psychology. She is a psychologist and corporate trainer with hands-on experience in coaching and counseling too. Dr. Chakraborty has facilitated approx 150 sessions for both public and private organizations in areas of behavioral science and psychometric testing. Along with that, she also has a number of publications in leading Scopus and ABDC indexed national and international journals. She has 5 books under her completed and ongoing editorship. Dr. Tanusree Chakraborty is an expert in mentoring students and young professionals. We are very glad to be having your embracing presence here with us today, ma'am. Over to you.
Thank you so much. Before I start talking, let me just once again check the mic. Am I clearly audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you, Kalpita, for the introduction. Hi, good evening, everybody. To one and all of you, have very good evening. I hope all of you are doing well amidst this pandemic. And I would rather say this is a very good opportunity that the pandemic has created actually for us to stand together in this kind of webinars, which perhaps was not thought about earlier. And this has given us to a platform also to discuss something that is, completely related to our careers. It's really wonderful that so many people have joined together, all of whom belong to my fraternity, that is psychology. And let me personally welcome you all to today's webinar. My dear psychology career aspirants, welcome you all. This webinar on industrial psychology, it is in a nutshell, it is going to be really an overview of everything related in the field of industrial psychology as much as the time permits, as I tell you. You can always leave questions at the end. We can be in discussion later. As much as possible, I'll try to touch over. And before I start go into the topic, I will take you through the flow of today's talk. Okay. Let me tell you that today how I will be covering the talk is first I'll talk to you about industrial and organizational psychology, and if at all you have some dilemma, some kind of problem in understanding the difference between industrial and organizational psychology, I'll just try to touch upon that. And then I'll try to talk about how is psychology applied in industries. Then we'll try to see how it is applied in the advertising sector as well. Next, I will take you through the career scope of psychology and industrial psychology, rather to speak specifically, the colleges where you can enroll yourself, and kind of job opportunities, and later we will keep it open for the question and answers where you can ask me anything that you need to know. Before I go into the discussion of industrial organizational psychology as a career or as a subject, let me first tell you what is a career. I mean, what understanding of a career do you have? Let us look at career in this way. It can be any one job or many jobs you can work for. You can work for many company or one company for many years. Career is called, sometimes when you have a career in similar kind of jobs, it is called a career path also. So a career would include your education, your training, and the work experience that you have gathered. But now look at a specific job. When you talk about a job, it can be just going to work, getting your paycheck, and that's it. But the moment you do similar kinds of job and look at a kind of a flow in that particular area, and want to see your growth in that, look at the kind of responsibility that comes to you in that job in the later years, that becomes a career for you. So how will you define a good career? All of us are here because we want to have a good career. Look, I'll tell you that definitely each one of you can have different aspirations for career, but in general, if we really look at what a a career should bring to us. Definitely, you would want to have some kind of rewarding experience based on your previous skills, your training, your education that you have received so far, and it must help you to grow, right? You, whatever you are today, 5 or 10 years from now, you want to see a different you. And a good boss, definitely compensation at a much you can know at the average than what the market rate is going at a much higher rate than that. You will say, yes, financially my job is rewarding to me, my career is rewarding to me. We look for financial rewards, all of us, and good colleagues upon whom you can rely. So basically we look for these things when you talk about a career. Now, as we're going to talk about IO, industrial, maybe I will refer continuously as industrial and organizational psychology as IO psychology. I first assume that all of you are more or less into psychology. That is why that passion for that subject has brought you here today in the webinar. Either you are a UG student or a PG student, or maybe you are doing some other subject in your UG and you want to make a shift into the psychology career. Something of psychology is already there in you. This is my first assumption that you can say. Look, the degree in psychology and even more specifically IO psychology, it will open a vast arena of career paths to us. Okay, this is such a subject that you will see there is an ocean of opportunities available to you. So it is very important to understand where you actually find yourself, where is your passion, where you feel connected. That feeling of that connection is important. If you Google, they will show you a long list of career opportunities, but that everything might not be applicable to you, more specifically in the Indian context. And specifically now we are going to survive in a new normal, I hope you agree with me. So the career opportunities might differ. And now let us today talk about what industrial psychology as a career might hold for you. Just one thing before I tell you about industrial psychology. Remember, the degree that you have in your CV is just a gateway to the job market. It does not guarantee that you're going to be a great IO psychologist. You need to have some skill set, some understanding, okay? And you must develop the expertise in the field that you are choosing. There are different fields of psychology, so you have to have some expertise in that. Now I'm straight going to the topic of industrial and organizational psychology, and if they at all differ, wow, how they do differ. Look, industrial or organizational psychologies use the knowledge of psychology, which you have already studied or you already have an idea of, to tackle the workplace issues and increasing workplace productivity, selecting the best employees for particular jobs, yes, and developing a market research survey. These are few things that an industrial and organizational psychologist might do. And that means what? Applying the psychological research into the workplace. Now, this IO psychology has two wide areas. One is the organizational behavior, and the other is human resource management kind of division. So you can work as professionals in both because they overlap. You must have gathered a fair idea so far what the streams of organizational psychology are. Okay. So now you all might well be a little in a dilemma. What is industrial psychology and what is organizational psychology? Because more or less they are used as there's a blurred kind of difference. They use as IO psychologists. The field of IO psychology can be divided again into three broad areas: the industrial, the organizational, and the human factors at the workplace. So industrial psychology is concerned in describing the job requirements and assessing the individuals. Specifically, I emphasize on the word individuals. Individuals in the organization, individuals, different perspectives, individuals, dynamics. So how job and the individual is related for their ability to meet these kind of requirements in a job. Traditionally, industrial psychologists have assessed the differences among individual workers, okay, and have evaluated the individual jobs. But organizational psychologists generally seek to understand how workers function in an organization. Now, that is a bigger look in the organization, how the individuals are functioning. So, they are not looking into the individual per se, but looking from the organizational perspective. The distinction between industrial psychology and organizational psychology are not always clear, I'll tell you. Even after listening to me, even after going through several Google pages and websites and all, you might feel there are lots of things overlapping, and that is why we today call it a IO psychology, where because there is a lot of overlap, the two areas are often referred jointly, okay, as industrial and organizational psychology. They both have applications in the field of business, consulting firms, and then in government departments, colleges, universities, and all. Both industrial and organizational psychologists help to determine fair pay scales, generally based on the levels of skills and education of people and similar things like that. And psychologists, typically these psychologists, typically they help employers find the best person. Again, as I tell you, the individual, the best person for the job, evaluate their job performance. So again, the individual's job performance. And they train employees, again, say individual needs a training. So they talk about employees training also. So, in developing a system for matching an individual to a job, an industrial psychologist would do what? They must first determine what special knowledge, skills, and abilities the job demands. For example, the topic that you keep studying in UG as job analysis. And from there, you get the job descriptions, you get the job specifications, what the employee requirements are. So, these will be handled by the industrial psychology part. So, IO psychology is this industrial psychology, and the organizational, as I again want to repeat, that IO psychology is the kind of things related to recruitment. It would talk about selection, classification. So, all these things are related to individual qualifications, their personality, their other parameters, other individual dynamics, their compensation, performance appraisal, training, and all. But now, if you look at the organizational perspective of IO psychology, it may start to look at the socialization of individuals, say in the organization. From organization, how socialization happens, how the teams and the groups work. From organizational perspective, what causes stress in the individual, see the leadership perspective, the group performance, how the groups work, and very, very interesting and very, very, you can say the accomplished part of organizational psychology is change and organizational change management, and organizational development. Without organizational development, no organization can thrive and grow. So for example, this new normal, this pandemic is also giving a way to change how very of late we have all become so very online classes dependent, working from home. Companies are keeping 75% of their employees online. So who was ready for this? This is also a kind of a change in the organization. This is also a kind of development that the organizations are seeing. Okay, see how many of you had attended quite a good number of webinars before March 10 or 15, tell me. So this is the kind of change that the organizations are seeing today. All right. So the I side of the organization is people. I means the individual or the industrial perspective of the IO psychology is people. And the O is more about the development, the organization, and things related to the organization. So, and the new buzzing term that you can see today is talent management also. So they will also handle talent management. So the O side is organization's effectiveness and development. I hope this more or less clears the difference between IO psychology. Still, if you have some doubts, we can talk about it. So I will move on to the next subtopic today, which we would talk where we would talk about application of psychology in industries. So now let me tell you, see, psychology is extremely important and extremely critical to workplace. You cannot literally isolate the psychological dynamics and put people to work. if you try to do that, that would turn individual workers just to machines. Okay, so as long as you want to retain the human factor in the human beings who work in the organizations, you have to look at applications of psychology in the industries. So if you look at the human face of the worker, it has its application in the industries. Number one, it helps managers at all levels of the organization. You cannot say that it is only for senior professionals or it is for the grassroots level. So everywhere it has its application, starting from selection to supporting, motivating, training employees everywhere. So it helps businesses to design their products, okay, and it helps people to build better workspaces and foster healthy behavior, right? Through the scientific research, as I already told you, that psychology or industrial psychology, they will have a lot of research work being done. And that is what makes it dynamic, for rolling, floating, new things coming up. So when you have this research things done, psychologists are discovering new ways to increase productivity, and they are from there they identify the training and development needs. See, for example, for any organization, this training, giving training to employees is a big dilemma. You know, they are not very sure whether to give training to employees or not to give training. You understand, of course, that training is a kind of investment, right? So the biggest, what is the dilemma? Why are the organizations in a dilemma? Because once you give training to people, it kind of creates a greater employability for people. Today you receive a training and you become better employable in the market. So I, as an organization, train you up, and tomorrow you leave me and get a better job. That is very natural. Why should you stay and become obsolete sitting in the previous workplace unless and until there is a career growth? So the company sometimes think that if I train my employees, we will lose them, they will go. Now think of a condition when you don't train your employees, just let them sit and work and they don't leave you for 10 years. So you never help them grow. So there is a dilemma whether to give a training or not. So research kind of help you in answering this question: what kind of people, what group of people, which particular mindset of people will stay with you, have a longer time tenure in the organization, and whether to go for the training or not. How to do the training, need analysis, whom to train, what methods to use. So these are kind of examples that I'm giving you that psychology definitely makes in the field of training and development. So they identify all these needs. By studying how people interact with technology and equipment, psychologists, they can help you make these tools more user friendly, and they can help you prevent errors, whether we are using some everyday product or a very complicated kind of machine, how to reduce accidents and all these things will be definitely a component of you can say industrial psychology, right? And it also studies the work styles of employees. People have different kinds of work style. Managers have different styles. Their employees also have different styles of responding to people and others. So they observe and analyze the workplace productivity. They try to acclimate themselves with the company environment in question, and sort of, you can say, collaborate with the management teams to devise new company policies, organizing different kinds of sessions for them, and come up with a long-term business plan kind of. So if you look at the kind of jobs that our IO psychologists will be doing, they would be things like collaborating with the company's human resource team. Okay, and there are many people who are already, like from industrial psychology, they are already members of our human resource team. They work with the hiring and management teams to find the qualifications of people required to do the job. They will encourage and train company workers, as I already told you, on training. And they will analyze the performance of employees, try to find out why people are not doing great in some places, how to develop individual development plan for this kind of people. They sit one-to-one. They have a performance counseling, where the word counseling, which is very, very relevant to psychology. There people are when you give a performance feedback to employees, that has to be handled extremely carefully. You cannot just blast on people for their wrongdoings, or you cannot even uplift the ego of the person and he comes with a superiority complex the next day and he thinks, wow, I'm great. So when you give a performance feedback to employees, you really have to have the applications of psychology and as an industrial organization psychologist. So ultimately, where they would this IO psychologists would try to improve the internal, you can say the internal hierarchy in the organization. They would try to achieve high workplace quality and yes, one topic that is very talked about today is the optimal work-life balance. How can you encourage employees with the work-life balance is very important here, and they when we talk about consumer psychology, I'll tell you more in detail about it, but also understand that these people also in cohesion with the sales and the you can say the marketing department, consumer psychology side, there are lots of understanding where psychology is applied in industry, you can say. Okay, so that is another sector which we will talk about. We will talk about advertisement, as I already told you, but in terms of product marketing and marketing department and all that, psychology has a lot of contribution. So now, where will these people work? People, if you are specializing in industrial psychology, and as I told you, IO, we are blurring the two, IO psychologists, you may work within the human resource offices. You can be in the team of human resource management team. You can help the business to hire qualified people, so understanding the right person for the right job. Here I would give focus, you can say, on psychometric testing as well. You see, because I teach in a management institute, I'll tell you from my personal experience, most of the companies, the first round of their shortlisting is based on psychometric testing. So whether that student who is aspiring for a job has a wonderful technical expertise, he might not crack the aptitude test or the psychometric testing that the company does for him. So tests which you have heard about, say MBTI, then the Big Five personality test, and say the FIRO-B for interpersonal skills. Then say, for example, this Belbin team role, if you're going to a sales team and all that. So this testing becomes a very, you can say, a major part in your job when you are a IO psychologist working in some organization. And later, once the employee starts working, then continuously monitoring the job, performance planning, assessing the job at the workplace, of course, helping the business to gather more efficiency. Then, as I told you, from the dynamics of organization, the IO psychologists will help you in developing the organizational structure, change the dynamics, and the dynamics of, you can say, the organization as well as the quality of life of people. Today we are very concerned of the softer side of the job. That is how you talk about in the organizations, we talk about the happiness index. How happy are you with your job? I mean, if you talk, say, 30 years before, 50 years before, people used to talk about specifically the technical other side, the monetary part, the other benefits that they to get, the medical insurance and all that. But now we talk about happiness, wellness, well-being, psychological well-being of employees and all that. So quality of life has become a very important content, you can say, in industrial psychology. So your job might be that. So, as a summary, what do we understand now? As a summary of industrial psychology, we understand that IO psychology as having two major sides. One, there is the industrial side, which involves looking at how to best match individuals to specific job roles. And this segment of IO psychology is also sometimes referred to as, you may try to relate it with personnel psychology. So it's all related to the individual person. The organizational side of this IO is more focused on understanding how organizations affect individual behavior. So it is the other way. Already those who have a fair idea about organizational behavior, if you have studied, I hope you remember it has a multi-level analysis. That a multi-level analysis is, say, the tier one, the individual, the tier two, the group, and the teams, and the third is the organization. So once from the center, from the individual, it goes outside, and from the periphery to the center, the organization's impact on the individuals, which is the core theme of, you can say, organizational psychology, right? So organizational structure, social norms, management styles, and say the role expectations of the management from you will be the factors that can influence how people behave within an organization. So by understanding such factors, IO psychologists hope to improve the performance and also the health side of the employees. They have to be healthy individuals at workplace, and they benefit in this process. They benefit the organization as a whole, the individuals, the group, and the organization. Okay, so I hope we have more or less formed an idea about industrial psychology and its difference with organizational psychology. Okay, and we can talk about it later if you have still have some doubts. Now I'm moving into the next topic of discussion. That is, how is it psychology, and specifically what is the application of psychology in the advertising sector? Now, as I told you, for industrial psychology, you cannot do without the psychology of individuals or groups. Exactly, in advertising, where you are targeting people, your products, your services, they have to go to people ultimately. So there also the human factor, the psychology has to be very, very carefully dealt with in everything. So the most relevant area where psychology makes its presence, other than the subtopics that the other disciplines, is consumer psychology and psychology of advertising. It's no surprise, that psychology and advertising go hand in hand. You also do not actually have to be a psychologist, to understand how to implement the psychological thoughts into your advertising strategy. See, most of the MBA courses in marketing now have a consumer psychology. There, what you see there is just the application of what we study in core psychology into the fields of marketing, into the field of winning the hearts of your customer, into making presence in the market, into retaining your customers, into lots of things which are related to the psychology of your consumers. So from that perspective, taking a deep dive, you can say, into the consumer behavior and the purchasing habits of your target audience, the different kinds of segments that you want to target, it is one of the very first steps in presenting a comprehensive marketing strategy. So though we are talking about advertising specifically, actually we want to see how we are able to market our product. Then that is where the you can say the fruits of advertising lie, if we have really been able to market the product or the service to our consumers, our target group. So now let us think, what does an advertisement typically contain? What will have? You will have a printed media, maybe. So there are images, there are words, there are videos, there are some logos that you remember for an advertisement. There are so many kinds of quizzes on different logos. You see the logo and you remember what product it is. So these are the few things that you generally look at when you think of an advertisement. So positioning your image to the say, for example, let me give you an example and tell you. For example, you see an advertisement, right? And in the advertisement, generally the photo comes in the left hand side. You will hardly see photo right up in the left hand side and photos in the right hand side. Generally what you will see is, say, there is an image in the right hand side, in the left hand side, and this will create a kind of fluency and allow your right hemisphere of the brain to process the relative elements in that image. It is interlinked, while the words are positioned in the right side of the ad, and that will help the left side of the brain to obtain the message very clearly. So if you look at this from the physiological psychology part, also there is an implication that is working in the advertisement. Okay, so this is I just give you a simple example to make this I mean how relevant it is for even words and image positioning in the advertisement. Now look into the emotional appeal of an advertisement. When you are trying to contact, touch, connect with some of the customers or your consumers who are you, then you know that they're familiar with your content. It is important to use an emotional appeal. For example, you know it is for children, you know it is for women, it's women's horlicks, and you are targeting the women folk. You know it is a geriatric based product. You know it is for the people who are buying flats, so you are selling Berger paint. So from that perspective, you are using a kind of emotional appeal to connect with your audience, right? And if you dig deep into the audience's emotion, it is going to encourage them to remember you. See, there are thousands of advertisements coming up, and you are bombarded with different kinds of emotions every day, every minute. And you have to actually be remembered by your audience. That is very, very important. Say, for example, you can make your ad a kind of create a happiness among your target audience, create a nostalgia, or even it can be fearful. Think about an advertisement on, say, toothpaste, whether it is a Pepsodent toothpaste or it is a Colgate toothpaste. It tries to create a kind of fear that unless and until you use this particular toothpaste, your teeth is going to fall, you're going to get decayed soon, you won't be able to bite apple and say your gum is bleeding, and you're not able to eat good food. The children are given the fear that all your teeth will go, they're not able to go to school. So, and you have to use this to be and you become afraid, and you have to use this kind of product. So either they're targeting your emotion of fear, or they're trying to target your emotion of happiness, some kind of nostalgia, right? So they kind of show you that you are using some toothpaste that might show some happy people, some of your favorite actor using that toothpaste and brushing his or her teeth, and it makes you feel happy about it. A football player, say Sachin Tendulkar, is having a great kind of soup that the company that tries to advertise for it. So you have some kind of emotional bonding with that person, and become you remember that product. So this appeal is more helpful, say, when, for example, when people are targeting the consumer segment whom they already know. See, so here also they are trying to hit the psychology of that particular group. So one more thing which they use is, say, humor and excitement. You will always remember a funny advertisement, even if you are not at all related to that product, but will remember an advertisement if it has some kind of fun, if it has some kind of excitement in it. Humors help, it triggers our memory, it triggers our memorability, you can say. And say, for example, and it creates a kind of mind and body reaction. When you laugh, your emotions, when they engage you, your no emotion, simple definition of emotion says our mind and body concomitant, so together it works. It creates a kind of diffused feeling where the body also engages into it. There's a faster heartbeat kind of thing, and you are really, really touched by that kind of advertisement. So now coming to other things, like the size of words in your advertisement will also definitely help you in conveying the emotion by calling attention to some specific phases. Then the use of color. Color psychology is a very, very important area in case of advertisement. So when you design an ad, there are sometimes people do not either understand what kind of colors or things to be used. Say, designing a poster that catches your attention. There, see, when you look at the Facebook and you keep scrolling, do you see each and every ad that comes in? There are certain things that somehow catches you. Either the first scene of the video ad that you see, it relates to you, either some color combination or some kind of tagged sentence in the advertisement that immediately catches your attention. So there is at least some percentage of people who will be feeling a kind of association, a kind of connection with that advertisement, and that is where how the psychology works. If you look at the color palette that we can use in advertising is infinite, right? And the colors you can see is one of the best and easiest way to trigger someone's emotion. When you see an ad, psychological studies have shown that children are wired, to need some more kind of visual stimulation. So when there are some advertisements designed specifically for children, they are more colorful, they are more noisy, you can say. The videos run faster because it acts well with the system, the processing information processing system of children. You must have heard about the term called advert games. So there are lots of games which come in advertising, and as children play the games, they get into the product slowly, and they will definitely nag with their parents to buy those kinds of products. So that children segment is another area where advertisement has enfolded itself in a very different way. So now let me tell you about some buzzwords. There will be some buzzwords which hits us psychologically, and it makes a better appeal to the customer. Say, for example, you see a big bang sale from Flipkart or Amazon. Then you can say 10% off. Reliance is 50% off. Sometimes such combination of words, the phrases that hits the emotions of consumers. Okay, and you feel attracted to go for a shopping, even if you do not need. Let me see, just scroll through, and you put a lot of things maybe in your add to cart in your online shopping, and why do you do that? Because sometimes you become very emotionally connected at that point of time. Later, maybe in next morning, you drop out a lot of things from the cart. You might not buy, and there are some impulsive people who may really buy all the things that were there in the cart. So there is some kind of emotions that attach the targeted customer or a consumer, and helps the marketers to to attain them, acquire them, and probably retain them, right? Say, for example, limited time. It's a limited time offer. They call it the flash deal. Okay, you get something in the flash deal, as if the world will collapse tomorrow and you're not going to get the thing future in sometimes, and you think, oh my god, I have to somehow buy it now. So this kind of flash deals and all are kind of words that will engage the customer, the buyer, very much. Okay, so again, let me tell you things like you when you choose a shirt or you choose a kurti or something like that, they tell you only 2 pieces left, last piece to order immediately. So these are some kind of things that creates a kind of that trigger that a scarcity. People have bought everything, and you are the last person. I immediately buy it, or it is gone from your hand. So they try to capture you in that way. So these are the few things that happens to us when as we apply psychology in advertisements. And let me tell you, as consumers, we are irrational, and there are lots of biases when we make a decision regarding purchase of products. So as consumers, as I told you, we are irrational, and psychology in advertising adds to a lot of theoretical knowledge also, how to take care of these things. So now the marketing psychology, as I tell you, the marketing psychology and our decision making is largely driven by this innate biases. And you'll see when you put some items in the cart, the maybe next 10 minutes there is a call from Mintra or Limeroad that tells you, sir or madam, you have put these items into cart. We are giving you this additional discount and all that. So they're tracking you. They're trying to capture you emotionally so that they don't lose you. They want to kind of build a rapport with you. that, see, you had been looking at this products and I'm coming with a better deal with you. Okay, so these are again all matter of psychology. So wherever you go in advertisement, you see the application of psychology there. So uh, uh, to look specifically at what kind of psychology is applied in advertising sector, I can tell you they use the psychology of hedonic appeal. They use the psychology of liking. They use the psychology of trustworthiness. You can trust it for years and for generations. They will have some physical attractiveness. And one more thing I shouldn't forget to tell you, celebrity endorsements. The celebrity endorsement, psychology of price sensitivity, urgency and scarcity. I already told you something is very scarce and you have to buy it immediately. Then a kind of social proof is also a part of application of psychology in this thing. What is that called? Our advertisement. And for example, there are bestsellers, there are fan clubs, there are reviews which you base your purchase on, popularity, lots of these things. So when you are buying certain thing, you are basing your decision based on such kind of things. Around 14 to 19% of advertisements, aired in the US, they featured celebrities and endorsed products and brands. A number of now the number is even higher, in other markets. If you look at Van Move's advertisement, it leverages psychology of unity, and they tell their customers to join a community. They join a community to make them feel that we are together, all of us are using this product. So psychology in advertising would encourage reasoning as to why. This is again the psychology of reasoning. Why are you buying this product if you are buying it at all? Say, for example, Toyota's reasons for purchasing is stressed with less fuel. Why am I buying it? It has less fuel. So it tries to hit your reasoning capacities also from the perspective of psychology. So these are the few things, remember, that will be there in psychology. I should also mention about the psychology of love that is used in advertising sector. Many ads feature love target consumers who want to provide and they try to hit the customers and how they care for their loved ones. For example, the subjects of such ads typically would be family. If you look at the advertisement, families, pets, then newborns, small children in the advertisement, mothers, happy couples. For example, during Valentine's Day, you see all loving couples are enjoying the dairy milk silk. So, and that gives you a feeling of your loved ones, and you want to buy that. So Pampers, Johnson and Johnson, different kind of jewelry, and these are the few brands that use love psychology in their advertisement. Okay. And other than that, say vanity or prestige issue and all that is there. It tells you that how much you deserve this product, you see, and we have specifically designed for people like you, your class, your kind of people. So these are some of the areas I have tried to touch upon. I know again time is a limit. I'll keep on talking about how is psychology used in industry and advertisement. So I really need to cut short. We can talk about it maybe later in detail in some other webinar. Now I'll just take you through the career scope in India and about these type of courses and talk about some of the colleges where you may choose to enroll yourself. Let me tell you, although requirements vary from a small degree to some from different kinds of organizations and the kinds of job, a person interested in becoming an IO psychologist needs a master's degree definitely in psychology to enter in the field. Alternatively, a person with a bachelor's degree in psychology can complete a master's program in social work kind of subjects, okay? Because they already have a base in psychology, and still some companies will allow you to work as a IO psychologist. Many people pursue a PhD in psychology. Industrial psychologists, what they would do after doing this, as we have already come so far discussing the different aspects of industrial and advertisement psychology, specifically two disciplines today. I can tell you that they will work with businesses to improve the business. Just to tell you in a simple sentence, the career scope in IO psychology is to help in the business in all those typical departments where you can really improve productivity and help in the business. And the skill sets that would vary, it will vary from job to job. What skill sets? First, I told you about the qualifications. Now, the skill sets would vary from job to job. But few things I want you to be very careful about if you are choosing career in psychology would be first is your speaking ability. Talking to others to convey information effectively is extremely important. You have to be a good communicator. You have to talk to people, okay? You have to have a good monitoring skill, because if you are working in an organization, you are monitoring the performance of people. You have to understand what they're doing, how they're doing. You have to have a good eye for that. You have to have a monitoring skill for them, those employees, and understand what means what. You have to have a social perceptiveness. What is happening around you? You have to be aware of others reaction of different things that happens at the workplace, why they react to things in a certain way, why they do not react in a certain way. Then you have to manage time very effectively, because your job will not be that easy. You have to do a lot of things. You have to bring in a lot of things on the plate together. So you have to manage your time very effectively. And most importantly, remember, you all of you ask yourself, how much do you have a kind of service orientation? Whenever you work in any of the field of psychology, you have to have a mindset to serve others, to help people in their jobs. So if you do not have a service orientation, you will really not do well, let me tell you frankly. You have to have a kind of service orientation to help people. You have to actively look for ways to help people, and to help in their work, help in their development, take interest in their jobs and all, okay? And of course, yes, knowledge wise, you have to have knowledge of personal and human resources. You have to know the knowledge of principles and procedures of personal management, recruitment, selection, training, lots of things. I mean, things which are typically the jobs, as I was discussing, different kinds of jobs. Whatever you think are related to the job, you have to have those skills, right? I mean, knowledges. And from the perspective of work style, you have to be taking some initiative. You have to have a kind of integrity. For example, you get to know that one employee is not coming to work because he's having some problems with his wife and he's filing a divorce. So the lawyer is taking a lot of time from him or her. You cannot just take it as a wow, great news, let me spread it to the office. You cannot have to have that lack of integrity. So our industrial organisms, psychologists has to have good integrity in place. You have to have a cooperative nature. You have to be flexible. You have to be adaptable, because you will have to deal with different kinds of people. So you cannot say either it is my way or you go to the highway. It is not possible. You have to have a kind of flexibility in your kind of dealing with people, and social orientation. As I told you about service orientation, you have to be basically a social person. You cannot be a loner who wants to work in IU field. Okay, I hope that makes clear to you what is the field like, what are the career options, what kind of jobs you can do there. Now, coming to colleges, definitely that will depend to the kind of geographical locations you prefer, where you are, where you want to go. But few colleges I would name here that would do good in industrial psychology and help you to reach your career, kind of, you can say, are, yes, in Bangalore, you can try Christ University, who does MSc Human Resource Psychology. Then you have this Krishtu Jayanti College also, who does MSc in Psychology. Of course, in South Madras University, they do MSc Psychology and also offers this MSc in Human Resource Development, HRD. Okay. Again, Bangalore, Jain University, MSc in Psychology with a HR program. Pondicherry Central University in South, MSc Psychology. if you go to that side, say Pune, you can say Ferguson College is quite renowned for psychology. University of Mumbai has wonderful courses. Even you notice Tata Institute of Social Sciences, where you can get a very hands-on experience in psychology. Nothing to name here specifically, kids everybody is aware of. And my own state, West Bengal, University of Calcutta, industrial psychology under applied psychology, it comes. And also you have this West Bengal State University, who is doing quite good industrial psychology. Then in among the different private universities, you have Amity University. Wherever you see it, they do industrial psychology. Adamas University, then IILM, many. See, I'm not going to give you Google is there for you. If looking at your preferences, what kind of specialization you want to do, what kind of geographical location, what kind of money you want to spend as a budget in that course, looking into everything, the faculty profile, I hope you can do a better research than my telling you the colleges. Please sit with Google, spend a good time, do a good research when you want to choose a career in industrial psychology. Look at the kind of internships they are offering you. Look at the kind of real life learning that will happen to you. Bookish knowledge everybody can get. Your Google, the global master is there with you, who can teach you everything. But you need really hands-on experience. You need to do a lot of, one more suggestion that I would like to give you. I mean, whatever you choose, but try to do some research work, try to write some papers, everywhere, what kind of job you do, if you have some research experience, if you have some paper publications, if you have gone to some conferences and presented papers, definitely they will have some added feather on your cap. I believe all of you are youngsters here. You would love to travel also. You can just catch hold of great conferences happening around this country, and you can get some permission from your college and jointly author some papers with your faculty members and present them. There, what another help that happens there is the network that you believe. Networking is very, very important in today's perspective. You need to know the world, you need to know the people around you, and you need to know what is happening around the world. So some of the foreign universities or institutes, I would also just mention to you, again, you choose as per your choices. You can have the Florida International University, USA, then California State University, of course, then again in USA, the Kaiser University, Australia, Curtin University is very good. Then University of Guelph in Canada, very well known. Colorado State University, lots of other like the Touro University Worldwide, University of Sussex, very popular, Columbia University. Again, please do your own research work and choose your master's program or whatever you want to do, PhD program from those places. Job opportunities will be in the area of training and development. It will be in the area of quality of life, then formulation of and implementation of those training programs, lots of psychological testing, as I told you, coaching individual employees, managers, and organizational leaders, setting performance evaluation criteria, doing those 360-degree appraisals, lots of things really very interesting for people in psychology to engage in. Okay, and also assessment of consumer preferences, as I told you, and market research is a very, very dynamic area for people with a psychology background. You can think about that. Organizations like ORG Marg, then Gallup, which is a very, very famous market research organization. You can even choose to work with them, try to do some internships with them, do some market research. They will very, very much prefer people with a psychology background. So the IO psychologists generally have received some kind of specialized training in the science of human behavior at the workplace. This will provide them with the knowledge that is very, very critical for business success. They will be full-time employees, as I tell you, as a worker, you can be engaged with a company, or you can have your own consultancy firm. And one more thing I must just sound off to you, you may search for it and get to know. You may associate yourself with assessment centers, or few of you, some friends, 3-4 friends together may start with a assessment center as well. That assessment center, in a nutshell, very simply stating, companies outsource people like you who will be doing the testing for them, recruitment for them, help people hiring, because they want to keep themselves engaged in the core area of the operations in the organization. So they give such responsibilities to some other centers where people do this kind of jobs. They use a hell lot of role playing, psychometric testing, and other kind of interviews and all that, which you people can start all together, few of you together. You can start your own organizations, few like-minded people in the same field, or else you can work in the assessment center. Please Google it, try to understand what assessment centers are. I'll tell you, they're very, very popular, and in this kind of outsourcing kind of business environment, they will be really good. Now, salary. Coming to salary, I really have no good answer for you. It depends. It's a very difficult question. It depends and varies, actually depending on the nature of the organization you are associated with. Say you're working for IBM as a psychologist, or you're working in a local school as a psychologist, or you're working in a small organization as a psychologist, your pay structure will be very, very different. Okay, so but one thing I can tell you, the needs and the requirement for industrial and organizational psychology is increasing a lot, and you can have huge job prospects in coming future, not only abroad but also in India. Industrial psychologists will work in the HR department, though many others work for large consultant firms. They pursue the careers. You can always try to work as an independent consultant. That is a very, very good area of work, actually. Okay. And so I think personally that, to be very true, you can expect a salary if you know nothing, just graduated. You can expect a salary of 10,000 per month as minimum of that, to 30 to 40 lakhs per annum, depending on what kind of job you're doing, what kind of organizations you're associated. Please keep an eye on the different job portals. Give a search in the Google as industrial psychologist job. Try to see the type of organizations who are hiring, what kind of people they're hiring, what skill sets they want. You will get all the answers to this, because every year, month on month, year on year, these things will change. I cannot give you this is the full stop answer for this and there is no change to it. It will be changing. You have to keep an eye open for the market, what is the job market, and please do some kind of networking. Try to enroll yourselves in some kind of professional organizations like the ISTD, the National Human Resource Development Network. I hope all of you are already in LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a very, very important platform which none of you should miss. You can get many ideas from their network of people. So to conclude, I can tell you that you have studied, or you are going to study, or you are studying a really interesting subject, and psychology is a highly rewarding subject also. You have huge, dynamic and dimensions where you can work. It's a wonderful field of study, and salary and all will all depend on your qualification, your specialization, and what kind of experience you bring to the job, what kind of job you are doing in the job. Okay, so those are important. So professional psychologists with an MPhil PhD degree can earn quite handsomely. Just you have to have the right, you in the right place in the right time, being very, very alert about the job market. So those who are engaged in kind of private practice also have a very good scope of earning. You can choose to do that. Please remember to organize yourself, attach yourself with some kind of professional organizations, as I told you. Generally speaking, now a general speech of Gyan, you can say, kind of thing. Generally speaking, if you're a fresher, you need to have domain skills very well, and you need to be quite flexible, technically strong, very strong, and be a quick learner. Be prepared for any location. Don't choose at this point of time. You start a job, salary and job role in your area and your expertise, definitely you have to choose that. Understand your domain skills, what you're good at, and speak English as much as possible. English is India's business language, so you cannot really do away without that, and do away with that. And try to speak fluently for at least half an hour at a stretch. That is very important. Write emails, write error-free emails. That is the first impression that you create on your client or your employer, whoever you can say. Come out of your comfort zone. One simple suggestion: come out of your comfort zone, apply for jobs anywhere. Okay. And please wait for 4 to 5 years of experience in your field. Good salaries do not come in a day. Everybody has to work some hard to reach that level, in terms of salary and position and respect and dignity and responsibility. So don't waste your years in just getting a great big job or waiting for a great job. Start something immediately. Start any job. That is all from my side. I want to congratulate you that you have chosen psychology. You definitely, a good career is waiting for you. Please go ahead, and I do believe you will choose the best thing for yourself. I wish you all the best, and definitely I believe you will do well. Now, I with my wishing you all the best, I would open myself for any kind of questions that you have now. And Shishma, or the organizers, whoever are there, you may please take up the questions that is come from the participants. That's all from my end to talk about the flow of the day that we had decided to. Thank you so much for your patient hearing. Thank you so much. Anything you are now interested to ask, please do feel free. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Ma'am, we have one question from Himesh for you. He's
Okay.
asked, what are the key points an employer would focus in an employee during a recruitment?
Very good. See, I think I have already told you the last few lines that I've already told you. First thing is, as a fresher, please try to show to your recruiter that you have a great domain knowledge. Domain knowledge cannot be compromised on any ground. You can be very smart, you may look good, you may be confident, you may have dressed very well, but first thing and the last thing they would be interested in you is a domain knowledge. How much do you technically know the subject? So this is the first thing. Then you know the three letters, the K, the S, the A. K is the knowledge, the S is the skill sets that you have, and the attitude. Attitude is very important. You need to, from the recruiter's table, you need really to show that you have a wonderful, flexible, positive, vibrant attitude. Please carry with yourself to the recruiter's table as much energy as you can to show that you are dynamic, you are energetic, you are young, and you can do a lot of good things. And of course, as I told you, your communication skills, starting from the language that you speak there, it can be the recruiters and your, say, personal kind of what is it called, vernacular language, or English, as I told you, is in your business language. You have to really show that you are good in English. Then other small things like your flexibility. If they ask you for any locational preference, please don't say that I just want to be in Bangalore because the weather suits me, or I want to go back to my hometown in Kerala, or I want to go back to Pondicherry. Please don't come out of your comfort zone. This is important. And some kind of professionalism is required. So that is why please be very sure that your CV is error free. There is not a single spelling mistake or grammatical mistake. Please do proofread your CV as much as possible by people who are good in English, who knows the flair of writing a professional CV, your application, your cover letter. So these are, as a fresher at the beginning, these are the small things I can tell you that I can recall at the first instant with this question. These are the few things that you will be required to showcase in the interview, right? I hope I have answered your question.
Thank you, ma'am. Himesh, we hope ma'am has answered your question. The next question, ma'am, they have asked if it is better to do a master's in industrial psychology or to do an MBA in HR.
Very good question. See, I'll first tell you, what does MBA mean? MBA is Masters of Business Administration. Okay? And to tell you very truly, MBA makes you a jack of all trades and master of none. Though it is a degree called Masters in Business Administration, but actually, let me tell you, as a faculty in MBA, that in MBA, students just learn one subject for one trimester, 3 months, or for a semester, 6 months. So more or less, you know everything. You know marketing, you know accounting, you know psychology, you know communication, you know operations, you know finance, you know everything to some extent, right? That means you are a kind of efficient person and a effective person who understands business. Now compare yourself with the industrial psychologist. You have a deep rooted, strong understanding, very strong expertise in the psychology subject in industry or the particular subject that you have chosen, that particular specialization you have chosen. So, my dear friend, try to understand here. One thing is what? It's like going and having a buffet lunch and dinner where you can taste everything small, 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 small. And if you get that in a cheap flavor, that will be more preferable to you. Or you go for an expensive a la carte dinner or lunch. This is just the difference. Now, if the organization is really interested in making you do only psychology related work, like we discussed today, kind of things like designing a questionnaire, understanding the personnel, doing performance appraisal, going into recruitment and selection, why the hell they should be interested in your MBA, tell me? But if they have plans to make you work in different fields, they will prefer an MBA. So the job market is such, let me tell you, MBA is definitely preferred more than industrial psychologists. That is a harsh fact. You have to accept it. Because these people bring with themselves a lot of knowledge. If your finance officer tells you that I cannot give you the budget for advertising, you can protest and say, listen, I'm a boss, I understand finance. Don't tell me this. So you have a fair idea of everything in the business. That is why they prefer MBAs more. But don't lose heart. There are organizations who is just interested in you to work only in the personnel sector, only in the human resource relevant sector. So they won't need those kind of expertise in you. So those organizations will definitely prefer to have you. Okay.
Thank you so much, ma'am. We have another question from Ronak. He's asked, are there any specific course that you would suggest for people who want to work in advertising or marketing as psychologists?
Mm. Okay. So, see, first, definitely you will have to do a master's in that particular subject with a specialization in consumer psychology. Again, I told you today, MBAs with consumer psychology specialization and kind of things like that, they are ruling the market. So, why should you not do that being studying the subjects? Say, for example, you have studied maybe psychology in your plus two, you have done it in your UG 3 years, you have done it in a master, so you have a much consolidated expertise in that subject. Plus, today is the world of digital marketing. Please do some certificate courses as much as possible in digital marketing, social media marketing, understanding consumer psychology. And I'm sure in this new normal, you get a lot of courses online even. You can look at Google Garage, LinkedIn Learning, you can see Udemy, you can see Unacademy, those course era. You get many free courses. You can just explore and find it out for yourself that for being a specialized in advertising sector and even I think there are specific courses on this online platforms typically related to advertising, the color psychology, designing advertisements and all. So please search for these things as the names that I told you. Search there, you will get a lot of things because I think once the lockdown is over and your classes, I hope the person who has put the question is a student. So once your college starts, your exams will come and you will be very, very engaged to go for a physical class or course of this kind. So now the new normal of online courses have opened to us a lot of opportunity. So try to enroll yourself with such courses. Either they're free or they cost you some 300 to 400, maximum 699 kind of cost. So please enroll yourselves in related field, and I'm sure the more you can show your expertise in your CV, plus, as I already told you, please attend conferences, write some papers, engage, tie up yourself with your faculty members, try to connect with people who will help you to write papers. For example, in our institute, I personally and other faculty members, we very, very much focus on our PG students, first years and second years, to write papers with us, go and present them in the conference. At least this will tell you in your CV that you are or you were not just a student. You did a lot of other things to enrich your profile, to encourage your CV, and this will help your CV a lot. Okay, so do some courses, write papers, write blogs, try to write blogs also. Create your visibility in the job market. I think you're Ronit, no? So Ronit, try to create some visibility in the job market. Showcase your potentials in LinkedIn, Facebook, different kind of places. That will definitely help you to create some scope for you, and of course, the certifications and all will help you. Okay, digital marketing, social media marketing will be very important.
Thank you, ma'am. We have another question by Kaina. The question is, can industrial psychologists have a good role in networking marketing companies?
In networking marketing companies, see, as I told you, when you are a psychologist, you are kind of, you can do anything. You are a kind of person like an alchemist who can turn anything into gold. So if you have good communication, if you understand people, and if you have a good interpersonal skills, definitely you can be a person doing great in networking, marketing of a company. So you may join that company as a networking officer, liaison officer, or a kind of person who score in the business development executive kind of thing. And with the skills that I already mentioned to you, specifically communication, your speaking capability, handling people, and dealing with people well, I think you will be a good choice for that, provided you have some interest in that area and you really love doing that job. Okay, that because this job will not specifically engage your core domain knowledge in psychology, it will actually make use of your soft skills. So if your soft skills are good, you can go, but never expect that there you can do a great you will not be able to fulfill a great passion for psychology, because technically this job will not need much of psychology core, but your soft skills will be just important to handle this kind of business.
Thank you, ma'am. Maybe this will be the last question that we'll be taking because of time constraints. And
Okay.
the rest of you have asked questions. We are hoping that ma'am in her talk has actually covered most of it. So I guess that should answer all of our questions. Ma'am, the last question is, a lot of people are worried that because of the pandemic situations, job opportunities are affected. So how has the pandemic affected the industrial psychology career?
Hmm. See, this I will give you a very general answer to it. It is not only the industrial psychology career, job domain has been affected by this pandemic. And we all know many of our known acquaintances, friends, relatives, and so on and so forth. They have either had to quit, or they had been forced to quit. They have been fired by the organization. So this is the very sad part of the story. But I would also add here is, because we are seeing a kind of recession, we are seeing a kind of no employment in 2020, there is a huge possibility that there will be a boom in the market, say from 2022 or 2023. This is one very positive sign. Next, what I would like to tell you is, see, many people have lost their jobs, okay? And probably they were even 10 years experience, 9 years experience, 15 years experience. Also, I know I have a student of mine who is working as an IT recruiter, and she was telling me, I think in March end only, that in that week itself, towards the end of March, they had to fire some 10 to 12 people, and she was with a very heavy heart that with so many years these people are working, but we had to really cut them down because the business is down. So this is, though it is a sad part of the story, the good part is that you people as freshers will have a better opportunity to in the job market, because some people have to fill up that gap, those who have been fired. And remember, the cost to company, the pay for that 9-year, 10-year, 15-year-old guy will be much higher than what they have to pay you. So the job demand and the job market for freshers will be higher than the people who are very highly experienced in the field. So it might be a better news for the freshers that you are going to really have a boom in the job market. Whether you are an industrial psychologist or other thing, it's a different question. But it's in general, I'm telling, job market is going to boom for the freshers, and say from 2021 end or 2022. Now coming to industrial psychologists, I personally believe that because of lots of anxiety, lots of suicidal tendencies, lots of stress that is seen in the world today because of the pandemic, because of this lockdown, because of job loss, pay cuts, deferred pay. Definitely, organizations will need more psychologists. And being industrial psychologists, you will have mm, the nice rise in the numbers of recruitment. I believe people starting from schools, even students, you have seen, no, last few days there was so many suicides related to online classes, because people, there was a case, I think the name of the girl was Nityashree, somebody from Tamil Nadu, who committed suicide only because there was only one single mobile phone in the family, and three and four sisters together had, I think three sisters had to study together from the same mobile phone, and the father was a farmer. A farmer could not afford to buy a second mobile phone, so they fought amongst each other, and one of the girls, Nityashree, committed suicide. Another guy who was I think an engineering student, some Vikram Pandi, I think, if I remember the name correctly, again from Tamil Nadu. What happened to him is he was not able to cope with the online classes, and he thought that he will not be able to fulfill his parents' dreams with the great results and all that. So he was frustrated, depressed, and he committed suicide. So lots of depression, anxiety, frustration have entered into the community now. In that case, starting from schools and colleges to corporates, everywhere we will need more psychologists. So my dear students or my dear job aspirants, please be prepared to face this job market. You see that you are really ready. It should not be that you get an opportunity but you fail to meet the expectations of the companies and expectations of recruiters. Remember, now you're not having to go to college but do online classes, and we have limited number of classes. When you are doing online classes, your commuting time has reduced, you don't have to travel. Please use this time constructively, do online courses, develop yourself. Whatever lag you think is there in your academics, please try to make that up as much as possible. Read good books, develop good skills, and I'm telling you, the future is yours. Psychologists can never have a job life or a career that is frustrating. That is one of the biggest rosy picture that I, as personally as a psychologist, tell you. There are so many opportunities for psychologists that sometimes you will feel, I could have done that and I could have done that. There are a lot of things that will allure you from time to time. So develop your skills, do some certifications. The job market is really going to be yours. There will be job prospects. Okay.
All right. Thank you so much, ma'am. I think we all have benefited from this. And just to wind up, I'm going to give you instructions on your. So please remember that the feedback form is going to be sent on the YouTube live chat. Please copy paste the feedback form link and enter your feedback. So until you submit your feedback form, you will not receive your certificates. But also be sure to enter your names on the YouTube chat so that it could be used as verification for the team as well. Also, please remember that the certificates to you will be sent only 10 days after or within 10 days of this webinar. All right, I repeat, you will receive your certificates only within 10 days of this webinar. Also, remember to not leave your WhatsApp group until you've received your certificates. So please be sure that you stay on the WhatsApp group until and unless you have completely received the certificates with no mistakes and all of that. So please check for that as well. And again, the feedback form will be posted on the YouTube live chat. Please copy paste the link on your browsers and it will open and you all can give in your entries. I guess that should make things clear. I would now like Nihal to present the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Shishma. A very warm evening to everyone present here. I like to take this opportunity to thank Reverend Father Principal, Dr. Father Victor Lobo, and the HOD of the Psychology Association of the Psychology Department of St. Joseph's College, Ms. Neeta Pereira, and the coordinator of Sumana Association, Ms. Ami, for giving us this wonderful opportunity to have this webinar today. And most importantly, I would like to thank Dr. Tanusree Chakraborty, without whom this webinar wouldn't have been possible. And I think it was a really engrossing, knowledgeable webinar today. And thank you, ma'am, for making us understand the importance of industrial psychology and everything that it has to do, from the career options that we have and the ethical standards that we should hold when we are practicing this field. I think it was a really enriching subject for us today, and I think we all learned a lot. Thank you so much, ma'am, for being with us today. I would also like to thank the Sumana team that has put together this webinar. It wouldn't have been possible with all of you. We worked, all of them worked a lot to run this webinar smoothly, and I thank each and everyone from the team. I also thank the audience that we have today. Thank you for thank you all of you for participating today. It wouldn't have been possible without all of you. We had a great response for this webinar, and I thank you so much for joining us today in this evening. And I hope to see you all again. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Have a great evening.
Thank you so much. From my side also, I thank the organizers, thank Sumana as an organization. Special thanks to Ms. Shishma. She has been a constant in touch with me to make this webinar possible. I thank you all, my dear participants. And again, I end by trying to tell you very, what to tell you, a great and bright light ahead in your career. Try to do great, become great psychologist, and take the name and fame of psychology to as one of the best subjects that people can engage in and develop a career in. Thank you so much. Thank you, Nihal, also. Thank you, Kalpita. At the beginning, you gave an introduction. I thank everybody. If I missed out somebody's names, please do forgive me. Thank all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Once again, just a quick announcement. The feedback forms will also be sent on the WhatsApp group. And I repeat, please be sure to leave your names on the YouTube chat. This will be used for us to cross-check and to make sure that you receive your certificates. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day. You can now leave.